All Bhagavad Gita, by which Lord was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness on us. O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows. The milker is the cowherd boy Krishna. Arjuna is the calf. People of purified intellect are the drinkers. The milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent and the crippled cross mountains. Hariom Tat Sat. Okay, yesterday, Lord Krishna defined yoga for the first time. In other words, he said, such and such is yoga. So what's that?
Equanimity of mind.
Equanimity of mind, very good. And can we get back in this space? So he's teaching karma yoga specifically. He's teaching, right? And he remarked on how this teaching relates to our concept of karma yoga. Concept of karma yoga is to do things for others, like that. But here it's to do for the sake of doing, to do one's duty with balanced mind. Right? So we can say to do for the sake of doing, and then offering the fruit. Offering the fruit is karma yoga spirit. So we'll continue. There's a beautiful commentary here that we'll pick up on. So here's the shloka that we ended with yesterday. Work done for the sake of some results is much lower than that done in mental equilibrium, Arjuna. Wretched are those motivated by the fruits of their actions. And we said that's not he's not pronouncing judgment. He's not saying because you did for yourself, I will punish you. That's not it. That's an idea that we can really have in all of the religions. And I won't say that it's not helpful at some level, because we do need to see that there is a reaction, that something comes as a result of our thoughts and our words and our actions. We do need to see that. We do need to see that they have meaning, that they bring some fruit. So there's this concept in Amazing Grace, we get it, this concept of fear of the Lord. Fear of the Lord.
Yeah.
As a step towards salvation.
I grew up in that.
As a step towards salvation, which is understanding that our actions do have recompense, that there is something that comes to us as a result. But here, Lord Krishna is actually saying, but it's not me that's doing it, it's you that's doing it. You're the one that if you engage in action selflessly, you are wretched. Your experience is wretched. Your experience is hell on earth. It's all over the map. And this is the, Peace Pilgram. And this is remarkable. This Maya is just remarkable. How it is that we can get so far away from the Dharma, so far away from the truth of this life. We have the experience that says that our greatest joy is doing for the benefit of someone else. We have the experience. And yet we have this motivation inside to do for ourselves. And we tend to give that priority, even though we have the experience that no joy comes from it. So this is Maya. This is a twisting. It's having the evidence and having the ability to see something is true, but living as if it's not, and living in the opposite way.
It's inflation. Everything costs so much.
It's conflation. It's getting it backwards. It's not, cost is, yeah. Everything you do costs something. So, and then you get something back for it. So here's the attitude of doing for the sake of doing for the benefit of all, and not doing for the fruit. And he compares and contrasts. He says, the one doing for the sake of some results is much lower than that, or work done for the sake of some results is much lower than that done in mental equilibrium. Wretched are those who are motivated by the fruits of action, which means most all of us. And we look at society today, and I think we can see it. My mom used to say, the proof is in the pudding. Great wisdom. I didn't take it as great wisdom at the time.
Well, I could say as an artist, it was so hard to think about doing art without thinking about having to make money with it. And it ruined like the whole art of
It does.
art.
It does.
Ruined it.
It does.
Stressed me out.
So here he provides a lovely commentary. He says, sometimes the Sanskrit term is translated as miser instead of result seeker, because anyone who does something just to get something in return is not a giving person. If you are a giving person, you don't expect anything in return. If you expect even a little in return, how can you say you are giving? You give and you get. Then if you don't get, you won't give. Such a person is wretched, always thinking of getting. And so even when we give, when we're caught up in this, it's like a poison pill that we took. So we don't want to be down on ourselves, but we do want to catch it and see it. It's like a poison pill. So when we give something, look, we expect a reaction back from the person that we gave to. And if we don't get the reaction that we expected, then what happens?
We get mad at
We get mad at them.
Disappointment or
Because they're not grateful. Or something like this. Look at this. It's absolutely a defect in the mind.
Yeah, very true.
So, and it leads to what? Happiness? It leads to disintegration, right? It leads to disintegration. So, imagine, so he tells this story. He says, imagine that you've arrived at a hotel. A porter immediately opens your car door, picks up the luggage, and takes you to your room. Isn't that nice service? Picture his face. So much joy is there, particularly if you get out of a big car and are dressed very well. You might have only a small suitcase, which you could easily carry yourself. Just behind you, another car may pull in. A simple car. The people in this car have 3 or 4 suitcases, but the porter won't go to them. He runs to help you instead. After you get to your room, if you simply say, thank you, look at his expression. He'll be completely dejected, even angry, because there are pits in his action. That's why he waits for tips. A tip is nothing but an inverted pit. But what if, as you get out of the car, you see a good friend of yours going to the same hotel? He just picks up your suitcase. Please, I'll take it for you. He brings it to your room and leaves. He won't even wait for your thanks, let alone a tip. Both men did the same job. Who really enjoyed what they were doing and kept a calm mind? The one who did it for the joy of doing. He is a karma yogi. The other is a miser and is wretched. If he doesn't get a tip, or even if it's a little less than he expected, he's unhappy. So we catch, Peace Pilgram remarked, she had heard in school, must have been when she was 10, 9, something like that, 8. So one day the teacher, sociology class, came in and brought a chart that he shared with everyone. And it was the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then she described, he also had on this chart, in every other tradition, the same saying spelled out, different ways. So in the Jewish tradition, for example, it would be said, do not do to another what is hateful to you, like that. So, but every tradition has the golden rule. Here, this is golden rule right now, isn't it? In this tradition. So, and she said it resonated with her. And this is, it's very interesting. It resonated with her deeply. And she immediately wondered, so why don't people do it? And the answer would have to be Maya. It would have to be delusion. You see, just to be honest, it would have to be that. Because it does resonate with us. And we do expect it of others. So it's just this false notion of self that we're getting caught up in, you see.
I also wonder if, like everybody's basic needs were taken care of, would that change people in a profound way? Like everybody's rent was taken care of. They have no bills. They have no interest in bills.
So the thing is, they already are. The thing is that the basic needs already are taken care of. Without working. You can't live without doing.
Well, that's what I mean.
No, you can't live without doing. So if you do your duty, this is the prescription that's being given. Mm-hmm. Do what's in front of you and don't be concerned about the results and what you experience. You have to try it to see.
Yeah.
I can speak from a pilgrim's experience. And I can say, whatever is needed is provided. Of course it is. Mm. Of course it is. So it's this, what's cloying it, what's sticking, is this expectation of getting something back for what we do. And then refusing to do if you don't get what you expected back. This is what Krishna is saying. All of the scriptures teach of this. And so there's a question of faith, but there's also a question of understanding. Blind faith won't do, a question of understanding. In the Bible, the Lord says, do not concern yourself about raiment. Do not concern yourself about what you will wear. He even says, worry not for the morrow, let the morrow worry for itself. And then, do I not care for the birds in the fields? And are you not worth more to me than those birds? Do not think that I will not provide for you. So it's the same. Yeah. Every tradition, these core teachings are here. So now, ego will say, no, I don't believe it because I'm separate and I have to care for myself. I have to take care of myself. Mm-hmm. But that's an ego statement. That's an ego statement. That's an ego statement. You're not separate. Mm-hmm. Nothing here is separate. You can't be separate. You can't be separate from the results of your actions. And you can't be separate from others, and you can't be separate from God. But you can imagine yourself to be, and when we get caught up in that, we suffer. So here, this is what Lord Krishna is teaching. In Sankhya Yoga, he tells us this. You're not separate. You're the one. You are the self. The self is not cut. It's not burned. It's not wedded.
It's not poor.
It's not what? It's not poor?
It's not poor.
It's what? How long does it last? How long does it last? A little while?
Always.
Always. So we get caught up when we're identified with this body. Kartikeya, when we take ourselves to be this body, we get caught up. We get stuck. Mm-hmm. It's not true. We are not. You actually know that, don't you?
Yeah, but I still think about paying rent. It's like, how are you going to pay that all that rent if you're just...
I know. You're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck. I get it. We've all had experience of being stuck. Mm-hmm. Yes? And when you get stuck, it's very painful, isn't it?
It just seems daunting. Yeah.
It's daunting, it's very... Okay. So, but here Lord Krishna is teaching us how to get unstuck. So, you don't have to follow it, by the way. You can stay stuck if you prefer. But he's also putting light on the situation to help us to see what it's like to be stuck.
Yeah.
That was chapter 1. Oh.
It is said that those basic needs are the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra. So when we move the energies up, then when those needs are, when you realize that the needs are covered all the time, then it moves up the energy to the higher chakras.
I mean, I tell you what life is like when you just love everyone. I'll give you an example of it. So we have, and I think they're joining us this morning. So we have, of course, the bridge is out. So we're not going in and out. And we don't know when it'll be open again, right? And Swami's supposed to be flying to Michigan on Wednesday morning. And so a question might be, how could I get there if we can't cross the bridge? But the situation is that we're always supported. But if I get stuck in that, then I can't go. But if I allow for other options, then I can. If I allow myself to see what the Lord has provided, then I can go. But if I don't, then I can't.
You get stuck in the mud.
I get stuck in the mud. There we go. I try to drive across the bridge. I get stuck. The water comes up. And next birth.
Yeah, weird way to go.
We got to order a new Swami.
Could we have a Swami to go?
Amazon Swami.
But as it is, because we love everyone, we accept everyone as the one because of this, then what happens? Then what happens is, of course, there's a truck here that will go over the back route. And then part of our ashram family, Brett and Kalyani and their kids who come, they say, how can we help? We can take you to the airport. We can feed you on Tuesday night. We have a place for you to stay.
Right.
Where was the problem?
Right.
It was only in my mind.
Yeah.
So this is what the Lord is telling us. Have a little faith. Open your eyes a little bit. See the situation here. See that I am providing what's necessary.
And connected.
Do your duty. Do it without expectation of rewards, because when you expect rewards, you get stuck.
Yeah.
You get stuck and you experience this wretched life
Yeah.
as a miser, not willing to give and therefore not able to receive. Right? Like this. So that's what's being shared. So number 50. And so he says then what to do about it. Train the mind to be in equanimity. In other words, allow yourself to see what's being provided. The one who has trained the mind to stay centered in equanimity in this life has cast aside both good and evil karma. Therefore, by all means, practice yoga. Perfection in action is yoga. Second definition, perfection in action is yoga. So chapter 2, there are 2 definitions of yoga. There's equanimity of mind and then perfection of action. Both are definitions of yoga. We can talk a little bit more about this in the morning. I want to share one more thing. Just about this equanimity of mind. The ability to be present. Not to be caught up in our own expectations of fruit and not to be caught up in this feeling that I'm doing for myself or I have to do for myself. Okay. So a dear friend of ours, Darren, he's the spiritual leader of the Center for Spiritual Living in Yuma. So I go there every couple of months these days, like that. Darren has a new job. Darren is the chaplain of one of the wards of the state prison just outside of Yuma. So he oversees, and there are 4,000 prisoners. And sorry, I said state, it's a federal prison there. So there are about 4,000 prisons, and there are 4 wards. And he's been given the ward, which is the highest security ward. So they're the toughest, related to society, the toughest. And so when we were together last, he was describing, he had been there about 2 weeks when we were together, and he was describing it. And he had been serving at the prison before, going 1 day a week like that in order to be of service. And he describes the prison experience. There are prisoners that are there that are really, really enjoying themselves because they're able to meditate and they're able to study and learn. And it was something that they hadn't been able to do previously. And there are others that are there that are very upset and very angry about their experience. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between the two?
The mindset.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Some accept the circumstances and look for how to be of benefit in the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I dare say none of them actually expected to be in prison. Maybe a few did.
Mm-hmm.
But it wouldn't have been on their hit parade in terms of the top things for them to do, generally speaking. But still, it's what's given. I did something, this is what comes in return, and now this is what's given, and what to do about it. So you see, equanimity of mind makes every bit of difference. It's the one differentiator, regardless of the experience. It's really the only differentiator. So here, what Krishna says, it is yoga. It is yoga. Equanimity of mind alone allows us to be present to what is, regardless of the circumstances. Hot, cold, north, south, pain, pleasure, whatever the...
Nepal, Arizona.
Yes.
When I was in jail just for a short amount of time in Lake Tahoe, it was the next jail though, but I was able to read a bunch of books. I read like 2.5 books. I got really good at checkers in no time at all. And it got me away from smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol, so I felt so good. I started jogging. What else did I do? I got really good at drawing, another style of drawing. It was crazy what other things I could do with my mind and stuff. So yeah, you can always put yourself to the test. Or get involved in other things.
Okay, are we relating to equanimity of mind?
So it's something that I'm like,
Can we relate to equanimity of mind being related to how we engage in the opportunities placed in front of us by life? Can we relate to our duty? Can you see that if you run away from your duty, whatever's in front of you, and you say, I will not do it, that there's no equanimity of mind? Can you see that?
very angry.
The toughest one.
So in order to maintain equanimity of mind, you have to deal with what life puts in front of you. You have to do, you can't refuse to do, because if you refuse to do, that equanimity is lost. Right? And can you see that if you have a problem with what you're doing, there's no equanimity?
Yes.
Can you see that if you're trying to do in order to get to the next thing, that there's no equanimity?
Yeah. Russian.
Can you see that if you're holding on to judgmental ideas, that there's no equanimity? So in Karma Yoga, what we discover is the great gift of having something to do. we have this idea, the tamas will say, just lie in bed. But of course, if we lie in bed, then someone else is going to have to get us a meal. And it will probably say that too. How wonderful that would be. But then you come into a debt situation.
Yeah.
In life. You become a miser, a debtor, because now it's all about you. And what you need and what you want. And there's no equanimity there.
It's depressing.
You see? There's no equanimity there. So you have to do your duty. You have to be up and doing. And the great gift is having something to do. Because if you don't have something to do, then who do you have to live with? This wretched person, this miser, who is just self-centered and just about himself, herself. Then you have to live with that if there's not something to do. And you can imagine how wonderful it might be, but the reality of the situation is not good. Tamas breeds tamas. More and more darkness. So the great gift is having something to do. And the greater gift is understanding in what spirit to do it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And this leads to freedom. It leads to freedom in the moment. And so we say artwork. Fine, that's a great example. Or riding the lawnmower, which I was sharing yesterday. Great example. Okay. But if you engage in everything as if it's that,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't understand why you can't deal with the moldings as if it's your artwork, your way of contributing to it, right? So if you deal with everything in that spirit, that's karma yoga spirit.
Yeah.
And then you're not doing it for yourself, you're not doing it for expectation of something, you're not doing it for someone to say how great of a job you did, right?
Yeah. It's different. Sure pleasure.
This is this Maya that we're dealing with. It's very odd, these inner motivations. But can we see clearly how it's got to work? Mm-hmm. And then if you're free in the moment, are you happy in this moment? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're free of yourself. You're free of the greedy stuff. You're free of the expectation of something coming back. Mm-hmm. And you're allowed to actually be in samadhi in this moment. Which is in this natural state. And these experiences of happiness that we've always had, they've been here in this space. So you can see how moment to moment life can be lived in this way. So I think that's it for this morning. Any other question, comment on karma yoga specifically, on this concept?
So is this something we're kind of looking at every thought almost, whether the thought is leading me towards a selfish direction or is this...
In this case, you're engaging in action. Whatever action is placed in front of you. So, and where are the thoughts? You're completely focused on the action. You're completely focused on the action, doing the action for the sake of the action. Where are the thoughts when you're washing a dish? Either they're going to be someplace else or they're going to be focused on washing the dish. Any place else is painful.
Even if I do it for the rest?
Yeah. If you do it for anything, just do it for the sake of doing it. If you don't have something that has to come in the future, and it's not related to something in the past, then washing that dish is simply washing the dish. What's the purpose of it? I'm washing the dish. Why does it have to have a purpose?
Doesn't everything...
Why does that? Look out here. Is in the trees, the sun is out now, correct? So what is flowing within the trees?
The sun?
What is flowing within the trees? Is there a process happening with the trees? Are the trees doing something?
Right.
What are they doing?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Why are they doing it?
To provide oxygen for us.
No, of course not. It's because that's what they do.
Oh.
Why does there have to be some other purpose? Why does there have to be some other purpose to washing a dish? That's what I do. Why would I refuse to do it if it's to be done?
That feels depressing though. Like there's no purpose in life, kind of. It feels like.
Purpose, in your words, means expectation. Watch that. Expectation of a better tomorrow.
That's a big one.
Expectation of something coming as a result of what you do.
What about?
But look how much better what you do is if you don't have an expectation. And if you're simply able to be present, completely undistracted, and focus on that dish. Why does there have to be a purpose for it other than washing the dish?
So that's the missing piece of when people tell you being the present.
Oh,
They don't-
that means fully in the present. Fully in the present. Fully in the present. With no expectation of what the fruit is. Now, if I say that I'm doing the dish, but I don't, if I don't really wash it, then why would I not wash it? Just look at it for a second. Why would I not wash the dish? I have the dish in my hand. I have the water on it. I have the soap on the pad. Why would I not wash the dish? Why would I not get every speck of food that's on it off? Why would I not? Somebody can answer that
I'm
question.
on mental Mars.
Because my mind is somewhere else. That's the only reason.
What about?
And if my mind is somewhere else, where am I? Am I integrated or disintegrated?
What if you're worried about time? Like say there's a class at 12.
Yeah, anything. So if my mind is somewhere else other than present with me right now, am I integrated or disintegrated?
Fractured.
Fractured,
Yeah,
correct?
scattered.
I'm disintegrated.
So
So do I have an experience of yoga, of the bliss of self? Of course not. Because I'm disintegrated. Right? It could be any reason why I'm disintegrated, but the result is the same. I can be imagining the goodness of society, but still I miss that speck of food. And now I look at my contribution. If I look at my contribution later and I ask myself, did I do my best to do my duty, what was in my hand? Then what's the answer you're going to give? No.
80%.
No, why not?
Miles.
Because my mind was somewhere else, I was not present. And if you can't be present for washing a dish, then you cannot be present for God. Because God is right here, right now, and God and the dish are one. Beautiful smiles here today. So beautiful. Oh. God and the dish are one. God is not somewhere else.
Wow. Now I see when Hari washes the dishes, it's just like so and the dishes come out bright and so shiny.
And isn't it a gift? How do you feel when you're doing it, Hari? Can't describe, right?
It's just washing a dish.
Just washing a dish. For the same reason that the tree is involved in photosynthesis right now. It's life expressing itself. You are the life itself. You're not the tree. You're not this person. You are life itself. And life is expressing itself as this person or this person or this person. So the tree doesn't actually have a choice other than to be who it is. In the human birth, there is a choice. And so that's the confliction of the human birth. But the opportunity of the human birth is to understand that I am life itself. I am not this body. I am not these thoughts. I am not this person. I am life in expression. And that's called freedom, moksha. But we're required to be present, and that's this karma yoga principle. Present, what with what? Whatever. Whatever. So that's the great gift of having something to do.
You mean the list never ends?
Yeah, the list never ends. And Swami says, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God, you know. I never have to worry about what to do during the day. Nor do any of us. Sitadevi gets this. Does your list ever have an end, Sitadevi?
Not usually.
Okay, let's close with final prayers and arati. Short version this one. Page 174. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mrityur Mokshiyamamritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mrityur Mokshiyamamritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mrityur Mokshiyamamritat Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord, mercy and love, let us abide in thee forever and ever. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ambalo Sakar Shivananda Maharaj ki. Ambalo Sakar Saraswati Mani ki. So you can say life has a purpose, to know that you are life. Life has a purpose, to know that you are life. It's a beautiful purpose. You couldn't imagine a better one. And then to support, and knowing that you are life, to support the movement of everyone here to understand I am life itself. And this is the great purpose, the great dharma. It's called love.